How you doing, guys? Final trades, they've been used. They have in fantasy and in SuperCoach as well, so strap yourselves in. At the moment, this is the current play that I am going for, is that Jerome Luai's coming in for Shawnee Blore. Big reason there is that Blore's scores are just he's out this week. It obviously gives me another player. Luai can go big. There's worries that he can or can't, and I am swinging for the fences a little bit with it. The other potential option for me this week is to go from Galvin, most likely, or Hughes there to Ponga, or potentially Tarpane. I can get from Galvin, or go Hughes up to, I can really get up to Turbo. Burton's probably the main sort of top tier option for me. They're the kind of guys I would be looking at this week. I'm pretty excited that Kolomatangi gets to go back to 13, most likely. I can muck around with some other guys being traded out, green dots, but it does feel pretty gross. Starling could be sold at 573, but with 35 in the bank, it doesn't leave me too much room to go with him. I can go up to 608, which just misses out on Reynolds. You've got guys like Robson at that 608, Dom Young, Lukey, Brown. These are the kind of guys you can go to. I can also go to Brown at the price I'm at with Sean Blore. And he's got the Tigers next week, which is going to be interesting for sure. But he's coming off a pretty low one at 34 there, Brownie boy. So it's it's kind of slim pickings at this price point. You can go for an SJ 1 week play. I'm also looking to next week. Like if I do hold on to Galvin and Hughes, I've got them next week as good scorers as well. And if we do have a couple out, which I think is likely at this point, then I've got 2 gun scorers there to help out. Whereas if I keep Blore, he's probably going to get a 30 odd next week. And then I would have traded, Hughes or Galvin, which could probably score similar to who I'm trading him to in a Ponga or a Burton or these types of guys, right? So I was like, if I take a bit of a punt, Blore to Luai could average 50 over the next 2. And then I do have Galvin or Hughes to hit that other 50 rather than potentially going for the slightly better score this week with whoever I trade in Burton or Tarpane or something like that, and then missing out on that good score from Galvin or Hughes next week and just getting the lower score from Blore. So it's an interesting thought on that. Let me know your thoughts on what you do on that one, but that is the trade that I will be likely going for this week. I'm not super confident on it, but it's the final trade. It's 3K in the bank. It makes it all look a little bit better, and I think it can hopefully, with a bit of risk, push me back into that top 500 and have a pretty good week. The main problem with it, and the reason why I might change this decision, is the fact that I do have no ability to actually loop properly this week. So I'm basically throwing Garrick in 5, and if he doesn't score well, then I can't loop this week, basically, because I got 2 halves in there with Galvin and Hughes. If I do trade in Luai, then I've got too many halves, basically, for my bench to muck around with, because if I was to slot Galvin in that starting half spot, then I would have Luai on the bench, which means I would have to take his score, because I was trying to loop Gray in there at halfback slot, and so that makes it a little bit tough on that front to do. So that could be a determinant, could be a reason as to why I might change my mind. I think I'm likely to hold on to Hughes. It could just be the Galvin play if I decide on, can I do that? That's the question as well. Because if I go Luai, they play the 3rd game. So I think I'd have to go straight after the Seagulls sitch. And then I'd have to make that decision. I would be going Galvin to Ponga, I think would be my play. And in that case, I would be able to actually loop Gray at half then. I'd put Whiten into the centres and actually do some bits and pieces there. So I might hold off on that final trade, wait until the Seagulls game is done, because Hughes will be locked into the side there in that one and won't be able to do much with that position there. So Hughes is probably going to have to go into the emergency 8 position, and then I make some decisions from there, unless he just sits straight in that half slot, and I can decide from there. That's probably where I'm going to be at. Wait for Garrick to see how he scores, and then go from there. I think that's probably the play. Hughes in half slot, go from there. Working out on the fly, as we always do. So thanks for being here for that one and for all my trades this year. We'll go through a big review of my team once the season has finished up, And here we are with the head-to-head side. So unfortunately, no trades. Used that last one to get Murray last week, and then he's obviously off with suspension as well. Still got the green tick on his name too, but we do have 17 this week, thank goodness, with Plath. And Plath is the other one to think of in my team as well. If there's any doubt or if he looks like he's going to be out, then that's one more down. And I think I definitely have to make a trade there because I'd want to get things right. But as I said, I can't really loop at the moment if there's any sort of problems there. So we'll work out what's happening. Watson's obviously going to come up into an interchange spot or into a starting spot there, especially if Plath is going to be out too. So just something to think about with the Plath situation. I'm going to captain Carrigan in my team, and I'm going to captain Yo in the head-to-head side. I've won a few finals, lost a couple of finals or semis, and into the finals on a couple as well. So wish everyone luck in their head-to-head sides. Got 17 at the moment. Hopefully that sticks and we can end up with a pretty good score this week, that's for sure, with Galvin, with Howarth, with Sipley out this week. So nothing crazy, but nothing terrible either. All right, SuperCoach to finish things off. I have changed my mind a few times on this. I had the two trades. I was looking at potentially just going Plath to Burton there at a very similar price point, obviously there, and to go McLean up to either Dom Young or Dane Gagai. I can't actually go. I was thinking of Young and Gagai this week to just absolutely stack the center wing because that's where all the upside is. But I have actually had a look at the second row forward position. I was like, if things go a bit south this week, if there's some restings, if there's some injuries, I've got Kaipius Paul who's out, Roberts who's not playing, obviously. Got Curran who's in a little bit of doubt over the next few weeks. He could aggravate it and not play next week. Could be rested, these types of things. I decided to upgrade Kaipius Paul and go to Isaiah Yeo. I've got Isaiah Yeo and Dom Young for Casey McLean and Kaipius Paul. That just rounds things out. And if there's any problems next week, I'm fine, given I've fixed that up. And I'm sitting there with Hughes for next week. I'm sitting there with Plath for next week if needed. But what it does allow me to do is make some decisions, some tough decisions on my 17 this week. And right now, Garrick's out. I'm leaving him out against the Dogs. I'm taking a bit of a punt on Isaac Tungo, strangely enough, but against the Souths, obviously. And then we've got Mazu on Sunday afternoon against the Titans as well. So they're the plays I'm looking at, leaving Curran off, leaving Brayley off, and just hopefully Watson can get some good minutes and at least score a 50 or something like that to go along with Tapane and Adam Fanua-Blake. Next week I will be relying on a Wilson and or Hughes in that front row forward position, but that's fine. It's Crichton, Carrigan, Fafita, Yo this week. DCE, we've got Campbell, we've got Holmes, Lomax, Iro, Young, Tungo and Mazu or Garrick, and now I've got Teddy and also Tommy Trbojevic there. And Teddy's going to stick as captain for now in that final game against the Raiders, and I'm going to lob the vice captaincy on Holmes against Melbourne tonight just to see how that one plays out, and if we need to make any necessary changes, then we will do that there. But again, thank you so much for being here and a part of my SuperCoach content as well this year. It definitely grew a little bit, slowed down the second half of the year, but completely understandable. And I know I need to get a really good rank myself for people to pay attention. And if you're following along, I am trying to win the private group SuperCoach at third at the moment, about 150 points behind. So we'll see if these trades are enough to get us there, because I do think Yo hopefully can get an attacking stat over the next couple of weeks. If not, he's still averaging 72 and crushing. And we can do really well. So wish you guys all the best of luck with your trades and with your point scoring this week. And I hope to see you all in my review shows. And then we'll get into some NBL SuperCoach and also some Big Bash, some BBL SuperCoach through the back end of the season and the back end of the year, I should say. So good luck, everyone. And we'll see you in that next video tomorrow.